Joy Loverde needs little introduction to a lot of us who've had the privilege of hearing her speak and reading her books. She authored the 2017 book entitled, which I have right here, Who Will Take Care of Me When I'm Old? And that's a brand, oh, well, I guess I'm over on, maybe you can't even see me. Anyway, I'm showing the book. And prior to that, authored the Complete Eldercare Planner, which was back in 2009. And these books address the important topics that all of us face, not only in our own lives, but with our clients and the audiences we serve, such as making money last, taking control of health, choosing where we live, thinking like a strategist, and beginning to think now, how do we safeguard our health and happiness as we age, as well as we help others in our life age. So with that in mind, Joy, I don't want to spend any more time. You're going to weave the folks right into your talk. So the rest of the hour is yours. Welcome, and we're thrilled to have you here.
I'm delighted. I've thought a lot about what you already know as consultants and advisors. And I tried to think of what you may not know. And so that's where I'm coming from. I am a business-to-business operator. I do not have clients. I typically advise businesses on different aspects of their business, both marketing as well as content. So there's a million things we could talk about. There's no doubt about that. And so I chose what I chose in the hopes that it will enlighten you. I'm also going to take breaks along the way. I want to hear what you're thinking and how it's going to impact your businesses, because that's why I'm here, to assist you when you're assisting others. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then we'll go from there, okay? And I will go in and out of sharing my screen just because I would like to see you and see how everybody's doing at the same time. So here we go. I'm going to move everybody over to the side. Okay. So basically, I'm going to talk about some very specific things on how boomers are going to transform retirement and how retirement is going to transform the boomers. So my job is to make you aware of some of the things that are, when we're having conversations with clients, are we talking with them through a lens of aging solo and old age? Your job is to just think about the different ways that you do have conversations with your clients and see if it needs any tweaking. It may not, but it may. Okay. Like all of us, we're all aging. So this means that sometimes we're going to hear this information from a professional point of view, because of course we're all on this call as professionals, but we're not going to be able to help making personal choices and thinking about this from a personal point of view. I welcome you looking at what we're going to talk about today from both of those perspectives. So this title of the book is obviously an in-your-face title. Would everybody agree that it's not casual, right? It's definitely in your face. And consequently, asking a direct question like this has had a lot of interesting results. Most of the people say, I ask myself that question all the time. I'm really glad you wrote the book. I'm really glad that you brought it up like this. There's no question in my mind. I know what this book is about. So that's been the majority of the people. But then there's these people. I don't want to go there. I don't want anything to do with this. Leave me alone. Cross that bridge when I come to it. And that's just the way it is. And then I've had other people who have this kind of reaction. Well, Joy, what makes you think I'm going to need care anyway? And I respect that, but here's the answer to that question. When the MacArthur Foundation study on aging came out, which was in the 90s, they confirmed without a doubt that being well, there are 4 aspects of being well, not just one. So if we say I may not need care when I'm old. That's absolutely right. I know plenty of 90-year-olds. I know people who are in their hundreds who do not need care. A lot of them are not on medications. They exercise every day. They're doing just fine. But they do need assistance and attention in the three other areas. So on that note, it would be an intellectual, social, and spiritual concept that we could address through this title called Who's Going to Take Care of Me? Because we're going to need all four. Intellectual takes up a whole bunch of different categories like financial, also purposeful living, and so on. But we got to have all four. So for those people who may say to you, well, what makes you think I'm going to need care? We need to be reminded that we're going to need four aspects of wellness, not just one. So when I wrote both of my books, I spent a lot of time talking to experts. I talked to doctors and researchers and financial planners. I talked to people like you who are consultants and experts in your field, and I would ask them the questions and they would fine tune all kinds of information for me. But I also spent most of my time with the other experts, and those are people that I call the living answers, people who are already living my future, people who are 90 and over. And over again, I would ask them, you are living my future. What are your main problems? So the number one problem that they said they had probably will not come as a surprise to you, but this is what keeps them up at night. Of course, they never thought that they would live this long, so they didn't finance the extra 30 years that we know we're probably going to have to finance. So Ken Dykewald did a study not too long ago, which is really interesting because you would think that people who know, boomers who know that they have a good chance of living a long life would prepare for widowhood. But this recent study that came out last fall shows us without a doubt that the widows, or the possible widows, are not even talking about the possibility of being aging solo. So this is really important. If any of you are being consultants with your clients, are they prepared for widowhood? The widows under 60 are the ones who are in the worst shape because they don't get Social Security and other policies and benefits that the older widows do. So this is really important to bring up. Are they prepared for widowhood? So then I would say, well, what else are you worried about? And they said, aging home alone. So then I would ask them to dig deep. And they would tell me that they were experiencing all kinds of problems with at home. So again, if any of you say, I want to live in my home for as long as possible, and we all know people say that all day long, we need to round that conversation out. This age in place is fraught with problems. As a solo ager, if they are home alone, they are in charge of managing staff. They don't have backups necessarily. They don't have adult children or caregivers who are coming in and saying, okay, well, I'll speak in behalf of my mother or father. They have to manage that whole process of having people come in and out of the house. How are they going to do that? In the meantime, the house is also getting older. The quality of the decision-making may be compromised. And of course, we all know that aging home alone has its definite challenges regarding solitary confinement. It's the best way I could talk about it. But here's the big elephant in the room, and we're all aware of that for the most part, the caregiver shortage. With 77 million people aging all at the same time, who's going to take care of all of us? And of course, adult children, we didn't raise them to be caregivers, not like our parents may have. So there's no guarantee that we will have family to take care of us. And then the professional industry is in dire straits. So I don't know about you, but I'm noticing more and more articles coming up with the home care worker shortage. So this isn't total industry that's in transition. So they're I don't know how they're dealing with it, but I know they're well aware. And things just got worse with Amazon promising to pay way more than the other people with benefits. The restaurant industry is certainly looking for able-bodied people to help, and the trucking industry. All of these industries are trying to pull people away from the home care industry, and they're willing to pay them. We are in deep trouble. But that's not the only elephant in the room. Here's the one that you may not be aware of that we need to talk about. That is the assumption that your client, who may be depending on selling their house for financial reasons or social reasons, they may be assuming that they can actually sell their house. But here's what's hasn't happened yet, but we're at the tip of the iceberg, and we're going to begin to see more and more articles about this phenomenon. So here's what's going on. The timing of the boomers selling their house, the experts say, is in about 10 years. So there's going to be this mass exodus of houses put on the market. Now, what will that cause the market to do? Well, first of all, everybody's going to be looking for buyers at the same time. And they're going to be looking for people who have money in the next generations. We know from study after study after study that millennials are in dire straits. They're barely making it. They're either really rich or they don't have it. They don't have 2 cents to rub together. This is a really difficult market to sell a house all at the same time. The other thing is we know after a lot of articles that millennials don't necessarily like the products that are out there. In other words, the houses may not be what they would design for themselves. So they don't even like the product. Here are some of I just pulled these this morning. The articles are coming fast and furiously. Boomers are going to have a heck of a time selling their house if they wait the next 10 years and then all of a sudden try and sell their house at the same time as everybody else. So City Lab calls it not age in place, but stuck in place. So on that note, what I'd like to do is stop here. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this whole idea about what you may be telling your clients or what you may think you will tell your clients based on what we just talked about aging in place.
Great. And if, Joy, if you'll unshare that so we can see the faces.
You bet.
For the moment. And if you raise your hand, I'll unmute you. I know I saw him there. There it is. Okay.
Jump in.
Sorry, I muted you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Julie, go ahead.
She's on mute. You're on mute, Julie.
There you go. I think we keep unmuting and muting you simultaneously. Okay.
All right. Joy, it's really interesting what you're talking about, and it's so funny because just this morning I was reading an article on Business Insider, and the title is Millennials Don't Want to Buy Baby Boomers Sprawling Multi-Bedroom Homes, and it's creating a major problem in the real estate market. So it's exactly what you're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Had any of you heard of this prior to this conversation?
No.
I didn't think so. I think it's a quiet storm, and you just need to know there is a lot that can be done within the next 10 years. But in 10 years is when the boomers are going to say, okay, I'm done with this, and my aches and pains are starting to kick in, and I need to downsize, and I need to get out of here. But we've got about 10 years before they wake up. But now you've woken up. So now what, right?
Yep.
Jan, I'm trying to unmute you, but I can't. So you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi there. Well, no, this is new information to me, and I guess right now I'm reacting more as a child of a mother who's almost 91 in the house that I grew up with. Literally, she's been there as long as I'm all around, and you know, and I think as a you know, so my mother's fortunate that she has myself and my sister, but you know, one of the things that was, you know, sort of this light bulb went off for me in the last couple of years has been, you know, it's wonderful that we, you know, the goal has always been to have my mom age in place, but she's not able to take care of any of this stuff now. So and I never had the realization until I'm in the place I'm in of how much is involved in, you know, maintaining her house and her finances in addition to my house, and we have a second house. So it's, you know, it's very complicated. And we've gone to the point of putting in a lot of adaptations to the house so that she could live there. And in terms of the impact on ultimate future sale of the house, that's, you know, something that's been in the back of my mind, but we've always gone forward with, well, this is mom's house and we need to make it work for her now, and we'll just have to deal with that in the future. And sort of have gone with the assumption that most likely, given the age of the house, whoever buys this house is going to want to do major remodeling anyway. So we might as well have, you know, we shouldn't worry so much about these modifications that we put into place as well. But it's, you know, it's very interesting. You know, I feel like I'm living it as the child right now. And then for my husband and myself, we're still in our home, you know, our bigger home. And he's been eager to move us out, and I still haven't been ready to do that. So this is good, you know, food for thought. I like that.
I'll say.
Jan, you had something to say?
Yes, beginning in the spring of 2017, when I convened a housing forum here, we've been working pretty seriously on that topic in this area of Cape Cod through age-friendly communities. And I just want to comment that I think that so much of it has to do thinking about sharing housing and thinking about the whole issue of help for rehab, for access. So much of it has to do with the local town regulations. And I've been working with them on zoning issues because I came out of a city planning background. And I think that it's so important to be able to know that your town, for example, has a pretty liberal view on accessory housing so that you can convert part of your house and have someone come in who would be providing you with care, or who can't afford the rents that are out there, so can come in and for no rent, you know, would be able to share and do the handyman type things. You know, there's so many options. And I do think that Bill Thomas, if you haven't already got his blog that comes out, Changing Aging, his work with Minka, we're going to be putting up a structure of Minka next to our senior center in Yarmouth, which will have all of the outfittings for technology built right into the fabric of the walls. And these are small units, like studio apartments, but they have technology that, for example, for Bill Thomas's daughter, can actually literally carry her to the bathroom with a saddle from the bed, carry her to create some food. For seriously disabled people, it allows them to be living independently. This is coming, the whole thing of prefab housing that builds the technology right into the walls before they come to you to be put together is kind of where it's at. And these can be clustered with a community center or a community meeting room in an attractive place looking over a lake or a pond or something. It would be the way to go, but it certainly doesn't help if you have a big house in a suburb.
Yeah, does anybody else have a comment about the assumption that the house can sell? Yeah.
Yeah,
Joyce-
I do. This is Todd. Tom Statler.
Okay, yeah, after Tom, Josephine, we'll call on you. Go ahead, Tom.
It doesn't surprise me that our kids don't want our brown furniture. They don't want our house either. And so this is what I would have expected. And I'm interested in that you say it's 10 years. The baby boom spans a broad number of decades.
Right.
And so why you're saying the peak is in 10 years or something, or is it?
No, it begins,
I'm interested in.
the mass exodus begins in 10 years. It's when the oldest baby boomers decided that they can no longer age in place and that there will be a bunch of them. And that will be the beginning of they call it the mass exodus.
Well, the oldest baby boomers were born in what, 1945 or 6?
Right. It will be when health problems, when that an event happens, well, they will start making decisions about what to do. Now, I'm not saying they will put their house on the market necessarily. They may say, I'm going to age in place, then I'm going to get caregivers to come in. But where are those people going to come from?
Okay, I just think it'll happen earlier than 10 years.
It's already starting, but 10 years will be the masses. It's when most people will have woken up and they will be in a crisis and they don't know it right now. But
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Josephine?
Yes, I volunteer for North Oakland Village, and of course everybody here I'm sure knows about the Village movement, which is about aging in place. And I think this excellent presentation that you've given about the problems of that would not be welcome news to these people that are precisely, gathered together in a semi-formal kind of arrangement so that they can age in place.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, what would I tell them? It's just a big question. I'm glad for myself. I sold my house in Maryland 5 years ago, and I'm so happy to be a renter for all the problems that is. At least I don't have to deal with that very real issue that you've described. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Joy, we have 2 more questions. I don't know if you want to take the time. There's Dawn and then Julie.
Quick, because, yeah, sure.
Okay, so Dawn, why don't you go, and then Julie, and then we'll.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a mission and vision that I have, that I'm on. I've written a book, and it really is calling to me to create conversations within this generation, to create life-giving conversations, I call them. And that really is to gather people together and address the housing issues and many, many more issues. But, starting with senior centers, retirement communities, facilitating, getting people to be willing to talk. Rob Weissman did a series in the Boston Globe last year on baby boomers, and one of his statistics was 80% of us know we need to have the conversations and only 30% do. And until we begin the conversations, people are in the dark, or they don't want to talk about it, and they need to be in company of others to have these conversations. So it's really, it's exciting to think about doing that.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. Julie?
So one of the issues, so I live just outside of Boston, and one of the issues that I'm hearing a lot that the baby boomers are saying about their own children is that, it's not so much that the children don't want my house, but that they can't afford my house. And that's the other side of the coin, is that these more attractive areas, the millennials are just, unable to afford to buy into those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So just to keep it on your radar, the need to address the assumption that the house can be sold. Just stay with that for a while and see what happens and your conversations that you might have. All right.
Great, thank you.
Here again, and we'll keep on going. And let's see. So that was an interesting conversation. Thank you, everybody. All righty. Morning. Okay. When we have conversations with people, we want to be effective, whether we're talking to family members or whether we're talking to clients. It's always wise to be aware of how we may turn people off or attract them. So here are some of the offensive language. You're familiar with seniors. You call a boomer a senior, they immediately think you're talking about their parents. But we don't know what this word means anymore, so I'm just going to move on. The word single assumes that you're not married, and it's a good word to use if you are looking for a mate. But it isn't appropriate if you're not interested in hooking up with anyone and getting in a committed relationship. So we now use the word, of course, and Sarah helped formulate this word, solo ager. We need to deal with this. I don't know, but this is not a really effective way to talk about solo agers. And there's this word, downsize. Many of you are familiar with this because when we spoke to our parents about getting rid of their stuff, we could use the word downsize and they didn't get offended. They understood what we are saying. But if you say this word to a boomer, look out, because boomers don't have stuff like our, junk like our parents did. We have collections, right? Everything is valuable. And what do you think, who do you think is keeping those storage units in business? Well, it's the boomers and their Beatles albums and our Barbie collections, and valuable. My goodness, just don't touch my stuff. So if you have a client that you're dealing with who continues to talk about, I know I should get rid of my stuff, I know I should do this, I have just a suggestion. I've seen it work, and so I'm going to offer it to you. You might talk with them instead of getting rid of anything to begin the process of looking at their things that they own as inventory. And once they inventory what they have, they may see that they are leaving money on the table, and that the need to take inventory, see if anything is valuable, and then help that to finance a longer life may be the way to go. I'm suggesting that this may be a door opener for you when you're dealing with clients. Instead of using the word downsize, you could say, have you ever thought of taking inventory? This is a company out of Boulder, Colorado. This is what they do. This is how they get in the door for people who know they need to get rid of stuff, but they don't ever say the words get rid of. They take. So this is just language used effectively, and I wanted to show this to you as an example of how we can be more effective in our language. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about language.
Hi, am I on, and can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Joyce. I have to tell you this. I was just with a client the other day. She must have heard that word in an article about taking inventory. She told her mom a couple days ago, mom shows up with 22 pages on both sides. She took inventory room by room and said, but I love it all.
Yes. But at least she knows what she has, and goodness, the daughter does too. That's great. Yeah, Julie.
Go ahead, Julie. You just muted yourself there.
I don't know, Joy, I don't know if you've heard the term right size.
Mm-hmm.
You have, okay. So I only just came across that word about a month or two ago, and it was a real estate agent saying, don't use the word downsize.
Right.
The word right size. And I thought that was brilliant. There's a far more positive sort of tone to it rather than downsizing. That feels like,
Right.
You're going to have to get rid of so much, and it's a sort of an end to your current lifestyle.
Right.
But right sizing has a much more positive tone to it.
Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you, Julie. Anybody else?
Renee?
Um, I'm Renee, and I am a boomer, born in 46. I have retired from a psychiatry practice. I have downsized twice. So much depends on time and place and where you happen to buy your big house and when you happen to buy it and what happened to the real estate value and how in demand it is. I mean, I was lucky, but I think I saw the writing on the wall and that, I bought something for like under $50,000 and 40 years later, it had appreciated considerably and people still wanted to live there. But I have been asked to begin conversations actually in my religious congregation about aging. And, I see this as being a psychiatrist. I am very concerned with language and sensitivity to language. And I realize how systemic we have to be in our thinking because options that seemed very appropriate 5 years ago may not be the right thing now. And, I have friends who've been very invested in starting and in the living in place movement and who are very devoted to it. And, so how to also have conversations not only with the boomers and their children, but our colleagues without offending people or feeling that you're being critical of the work that they've already done and they're very committed to. So these are, I was thinking, how can you just talk to a person in isolation without considering the community and what the options are and what the choices are and what kind of alternatives are available? So I'm just appreciating the complexity, the systemic complexity of what we're dealing with.
That's a great point, Renee.
And we're fast moving into the gender-free market. What does that mean? And that's where we're going. A whole different language. It's wonderful.
Jan,
Wonderful. Yeah.
you're on mute. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I used to oversee a program for 55 plus communities where we actually led groups that were about promoting connections and avoiding of isolation and depression. And I was training volunteers to lead these peer discussion groups. So one of the exercises we did was, the terms for senior and elderly and, all the connotations. And the one that was new to me when in doing that exercise was perennial. And, as opposed to an annual, but a perennial. So I'll just share that one. That was the new one on me a few years ago.
Thank you for sharing that. I know it's a new world. It's okay. It needs to go there. Yeah, Jan.
You're on mute. Hold on, gotta unmute you. Go ahead, Jan. You're muted. Trying to unmute you.
Sorry. At a conference in Africa, the guy who chaired it from Nigeria made it a conference of seenagers, SEENagers. And that was what everyone called each other. You're a seenager.
I love it.
Seeing each other.
That's great. Anybody else? Okay. I'll go back to sharing. Here we go. Okay. So we tend to get together with people on a professional or a personal basis and begin the process of talking about the future. And it's real easy to play it safe because it's more fun. The questions are more fun. We might say, are you going to move? Are you going to stay put? I think I have enough money. If not, I'll go talk to somebody. I think I'll go back to work or I'll start my own business. And all of these kinds of conversations have a real positive spin on it. And it's great. But we can't play it safe and plan for a quality of life as we age. So by safe, I mean avoiding the lens of aging solo and old age. So I know that you're all familiar with who are the solo agers. They're never married, separated, divorced, and widowed. There's a bunch of them, 1 in 3 boomers, and a third of the population, 45 to 63. What's important about this group is that these are the people that we all work with. These are the people who are employed in corporate America. It's kind of interesting. Imagine that many of them go home right alone. And I don't think we've even seen the beginning, just because of the Me Too movement. I think more and more people are going to get divorced because they'll be brave enough to do it. So there will be even more solo agers. So we talk about the need for family and friends as we get old. And we will certainly do our best to stay connected. But even this is not going to be enough. So what I have learned is that what we need to gather are advocates. Now, an advocate, of course, is somebody who's got your back, and they don't think anything of stepping into a situation where things are not right. And I'm not just in the medical industry, I'm talking about anywhere you may be, the need to be able to call someone and say, I need your help. This is not right, and I am not being treated right. So a caregiver is not necessarily an advocate. If we have kind and wonderful people who love us, and they are, they're great at your soup when you're sick and watching TV with you and going to the movies with you, but it isn't necessarily what we are going to need going forward. We are going to need advocates. For example, many of you, I'm sure, have visited people in nursing homes, and that call button doesn't get answered. It just doesn't. It could be 30, 40 minutes, and that's just the way it is. In my own family, what I did is I sought the help of a really good-looking friend of mine, a guy, and I asked him to go to give pizza to the nurses on the call and on the floor. And he went over there and he said, hey, do you think you could pay a little more attention to Aunt Bernice, Joy's Aunt Bernice? And he had pizza with the nurses, and boy, they were all over it. He became my advocate for that moment. And it worked like a charm. They loved him, and they took better care of my aunt as a result of that. I certainly don't understand the language of medications, and so I haven't, I know that there are people in my life who do, and I ask for their advice all the time and help for when I might need to have them step in and tell me whether someone I love is over-medicated. We need advocates for the workplace. There are plenty of those. And then the guy who's totally going to rip us off if we're home alone and we ask him to come fix something. And it's always good to have an advocate. So the importance of this conversation is the need for all of us and our clients to think about adding another layer as we go forward with the quality of life as we age. So how do we do this? Gender may make a difference in some cases, like in the case of having the pizza with the nurses on the floor with my aunt. Bruce, you're going to love this one. This is one of my favorite things to do. But if things are bad enough, typically a local radio or TV station may be interested to know what's going on and why things are so bad. Is it newsworthy? And of course, having an attorney perhaps, or a doctor or someone write a letter in order to get better results. I list a lot of resources in my book for your clients. Their insurance company may have advocates on staff. Of course, we could look to the medical industry that has many advocates. We just need to get used to having people as advocates in our lives and not just caregivers. So that's my point. I predict in the future there are going to be advocate professionals, not just the medical field, but people who will actually possibly put together a business model that would act as an advocate in our behalf. So this is a concern of mine, that when we think that caregivers are enough, I don't believe they are. And I have 40 years experience that says, no, we also need advocates. So on that note, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the difference between advocates and caregivers and the need as we go forward and become possibly vulnerable in old age.
Yeah, that's a great point, Joy. In fact, one of our LPN members in New England, Amy Lampert, for years tried to create an advocate program business, and it was something when I was taking care of my mom, I became sorely aware of. If she hadn't had me there fighting for her, it would have been really rough sledding. So I think you're right. I think a professional, there probably is somewhere, but I don't know that it's gained any
But
national
it could
stature.
be, and it doesn't have to be a professional. It could be anyone you know that might be effective in a situation. It could be a neighbor. It could be anybody. My point is we can't assume our caregiving network will be able to help us fight battles.
Yeah, and I think to that point, Joy, too, it's the assumption again that crushes people, right? That we assume that our next door neighbor or someone will do it, but when you ask someone, they may not really be willing to. So it's good to line those people up in advance. I
Yeah.
heard of a case very recently of someone who expected their next door neighbor, who they were so close to watch their husband while she went away for a brief time, and she asked, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." It was totally, they didn't expect it at all. But so
Can
Yeah,
I pipe in on this?
and so it's just, you could see the need to start just kind of looking around and seeing in your network, or asking your clients to look in their network and say, who might this be?
Can I pipe in on this subject?
Oh, please, yeah.
who's that?
This is Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Hey. The reason my camera's not on is because I'm sick in bed with bronchitis, and so I don't really look that pretty.
It must be a Northern California thing, right? You and Sarah, the two of you.
Yeah, I guess so. So, great discussion. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying your book too, by the way.
Thank you.
And the advocate thing really hits home because as representing the entire gay population of the LPN,
that you know of.
So as far as I know, we've been solo our whole lives, basically. I mean, we've had partners come and go, some long, some short term, but we've always in the back of our minds known that we have to have some sort of a backup system or backup, just a backup system. When I had back surgery, I think 2 years ago, a good friend of mine who happens to be in work for a volunteer at the Omnibus program in San Francisco, which is a great program where they train people to be advocates. And so there are such programs like that exist.
Yeah.
Anyway, he also is a great friend of mine, and he came with me to all the different doctors because after seeing 4 surgeons, I was just confused. And it just kind of overwhelms you. You don't know which one's telling you the truth and which one you should really be listening to and all that. And it really helped a great deal. And then he helped me create a list of my friends who would come and visit me for 1 week after my surgery. So we had a schedule plan so that so-and-so was at this hour and so-and-so was at this hour. And then they would show up and these were the emergency numbers and all that sort of thing. It's kind of, that was just for one little incident. And I imagine if I keep getting sicker and sicker, I'm going to be leaning on him more and more. But I'm not sure what his wife's going to think about all that. But anyway, it's a great subject. And it is really important. And it scares the daylights out of myself and all of my friends every single day because we really don't know what the heck's going to happen. We have no place to go, and we don't know what we're going to be doing, and who's going to be taking care of us, and in whose arms will we die. Right.
We got to start making plans. And you're going, you said you're reading my book, and there's so many ways we have to start creating this now, especially younger people in our lives.
Renee, then Jan.
Part of my responsibilities included, am I muted?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. I had to oversee the care. I live in Boston now. I came from Minnesota. So among other things, I had to oversee the care of my aging parents, and especially my aging father in his 90s, from a distance. He didn't want to move. He was rooted in his community, and he had done a lot of thinking about that I'm so grateful for in terms of his aging. So he was in a continuum of care. He was in an independent living that became an assisted living, and eventually he ended up in a long-term care, more of a nursing home part of the facility. But at a distance, I was not able to be there on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis to oversee. I mean, when I did visit, I saw the gap between when the bell went off and when the answer came, in spite of everyone's best intentions. And someone informed me of a geriatric care support group that I think was golden. And I'm trying to think what made them so good. This was a group of retired nurses with administrative experience, who had hands-on experience, who knew the healthcare system inside out. So I hired a woman who would visit my dad on a regular basis. We could give her permission, because she was a medical person, to look at his records, to see what the lab results were, what had been attended to or not. She could speak to the care staff there. If necessary, she could speak to the doctor. So she was in a position to alert me to various issues, take some action up to a point herself, and then either she or I could advocate. And it was really, I hadn't anticipated that need, but hearing what you say and looking back on it, the fact that she could be my eyes and ears and begin to advocate and alert me when I needed to was golden.
Yeah. Yeah. And so as I said, I see a business here. I see a business for medical, but also the one who goes to somebody's house while the plumber comes and tries to rip you off. So I see a business model forming that needs to take place, and geriatric case managers may be a part of the system where because they're expensive. So maybe we just need somebody to that is, trusted, and somehow it's proven that this person is, who does go to people's homes and sits there while the guy fixes the toilet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We are going to need all kinds, not just medical. So just putting the thought in everybody's mind, advocacy is different than caregiving, and we need both. So ready to move on, everybody?
I think so.
Okay, wonderful. I just want to make sure we get through all this. So these are all the things that we talked about: stuck in place, language, and then the advocates. So we've seen a lot of the articles that say the older adults are the loneliest, but they're not. It's this generation, the 18 to 22-year-olds, who are the loneliest, and how we may be able to affect that generation as they go forward.
Are you sharing?
Yeah, can you see?
No, you're not sharing.
Okay, hang on. Sorry.
No, it's about to come up. There it is.
All right. So we're talking about how the assumption, but this group knows it's not the older adults who are the loneliest, it's 18 to 22-year-olds, and that it has a name. It's called modern loneliness, and we know it as lonely in a crowd. So we know it's unhealthy. We know it's terribly unhealthy. And so my book has started a movement, and I have started a movement, and it is to do with getting people together, and it is called Let's Eat Together. So nothing binds us better than sharing a meal. Rich and poor, young and old, we can all go forward and do something to invite somebody over for a meal or bring the pot of spaghetti over to the people we don't know next door, share a sandwich on a park bench. So I talk a lot about the Let's Eat Together movement in my book. I think all of us, whether personally or professionally, we need to begin this process of helping people connect, especially the younger generation. Larry, to your point, if we could begin the process of making friends with younger people, they would be invaluable and they have much to learn from us. We have much to learn from them. And this is one of the ideas that I was thinking about when you were talking about taking it a serious intention of figuring out ways to get together, and hands down the easiest way is to share a meal.
I like it.
It's easy, it works, and I'm not saying that just because I'm Italian. We do, food is community, food is love, food is family. It works. So I'm now at the end, and I'm going to turn it back over to you. Hopefully this has been enlightening. If there's anything that you'd like to share, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to you. And we're on time.
Where's the virtual applause?
Thank you. And thank you to all of you.
Well done. Well, thank you very much, Joy. I let Joyce pick up, but that was fantastic. Greatly
Great.
appreciate it.
Oh, it's excellent. And I just think ditto. I'm sitting here trying to unmute my phone. Joy, this has been excellent. And it's a conversation that through our forum, I would love if we could just continue it with conversations, stories, anecdotes, because this is an ongoing discussion on so many fronts. I love this idea of let's eat together, and we could even do that virtually.
I know people do. Yeah, we've had some fun ideas. I live in an apartment building, and I've said that we should go put a small table out in the hall and just have dinner and watch people come out and just tell them. I mean, there's so many easy ways to eat together, and it changes everything.
Hot dogs watching the Cubs.
That's right. Today's the day.
Joy, that's an idea that we had talked about on the floor here at my apartment, but nobody's done it. There's all the ideas. The ideas are easy.
Yeah.
Right? How do you actually do it? How do you actually
do it? You just do it.
You just do it. Yeah.
Do it. And it's
I don't know those.
It's just magic.
Well, I was thinking, Joy, we start a group on the Red String platform for the Let's Eat Together movement, and people can then connect with each other when they want to go eat.
I think it's a fabulous idea, Bruce. I'm not kidding. It's a great idea. I think of for me being Italian, the loneliest time of day is the time when I'm in a hotel somewhere, because I travel for a living, I think.
Well, that's nothing. Try being Jewish.
But dinner time to me is so lonely if I'm not with somebody.
And I was thinking too a little about Stonewall, which we should talk to Paul about putting a Let's Eat Together on Stonewall.
That'd be great. Absolutely. Does Larry know about Stonewall?
Yeah, Larry and I have discussed it. He's in San Francisco. He'd love to see it in San Francisco and jump in. So
you will someday. It'll get there.
What is Stonewall?
So it's a virtual community for the LGBT community of New York. Joy actually introduced me to the leaders of the Stonewall Community Development Corporation about 1.5 years ago, and Red String began working with them, and we're on the verge of launching on Monday. We have a major fundraiser in New York City, and we'll launch Stonewall Village NYC which will be a virtual, a non-geographic retirement community. But it's got a double purpose. It's to support the elders of when they did a survey 3.5 years ago and found that the loneliest, illest, and poorest portion of New York City's population was the elder LGBT population. So that was the genesis of the idea. But it's also an intergenerational community, so that there's now an emerging leadership committee that will bring young LGBT who really don't have a clue, basically, about the elder LGBT population. So,
or how to live their lives, and they need us.
Yes.
That too.
The idea was that you meet online, but you cannot stay there. You got to get out. And so it just constantly feeds people to get each other. And that's the value of it. Anybody else? Everybody happy?
Everybody's thrilled, especially with the past hour and your conversation.
Good.
So, yeah, go ahead, Joy.
No, I said this has been a pleasure for me. I always learn a lot. I found your feedback and your comments extremely helpful. We all learn together. We're all in this together.
Yep. And
True.
just Joy's book, I'll pitch for it as well. You know, it's like a Bible of questions. So if as you read it, there's no. Years ago, I took a course in fiction writing from the woman who wrote the first surrealistic novel in America. It's 1,200 pages long, Miss McIntosh, My Darling. And in the book, blanking. The point of this is that many people carry that book around for years with them and can open to any page in it and start there. That's true of Joy's book too. You just open it anywhere and read a paragraph, and you will have questions to ask yourself about what you're doing.
That's so true. Jan?
Yeah, question. Joy, will your slides be available to us?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, will your slides be available to us?
I think so. It's being recorded, right?
It is. I recorded it.
Yeah, it'll be on the recording, but not the slides, just the recording.
All right. Great. Thank you.
I have to leave and just thank you very much. And it's very informative and thought-provoking. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for taking the time.
Okay, and so we're going to say, those of you who want to stay on for a couple minutes, fine, but we're going to officially bring this to an end. I just want to mention April is National Poetry Month, since we sort of got into this. Everyone in LPN would have seen a message from Bruce earlier inviting everyone to write a haiku and send it to Bruce. Doesn't matter, just 3 lines, or just read his little notes on forget everything we learned about it in high school about how to write haiku, and write your lines and send it in. And we're going to have a celebration of a poetry celebration online on the connector for the entire month, and we'll carry it into May. So
and our virtual chapter meeting at the end of April is with 2 poets who are, both of them, one has a recent book and one has a book that's just coming out. So Sally Blyumis wrote a book called Echolocation, and she will be with us, and Pamela Hart, who wrote a book called Mothers of Nangarhar. Her son has been a soldier for the last 8 years or so, I think, or maybe longer. She's been at work at this book for about 15 years, in which she went out and so sees war and soldiering through the eyes of a mother who's herself 60. And hopefully that will be followed by a conversation, a little of the lens of poetry through the eyes of aging poets, and aging through the eyes of all of us.
long-term care, which follows along with each of these conversations. So on that note, everybody, happy spring, and thank you for joining us, and we'll say goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Feel better, Larry. Feel better,
Feel better,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Sarah,
Yeah.
feel better.
Larry.
Thank you.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Bruce.
You sound terrible. Hey, Sarah, you sounded terrible too.
I feel like dog do run over.
Oh,
We thought I had pneumonia yesterday.
oh nice.
Yeah, but my chest X-ray was clear.
I'm
It's
not as sick as Larry for sure. Mine's actually not even a cold. I've got something else going on, but I was not, certainly, like as Larry said, I was not fit for the camera.
Yeah, well, someone raised that with me earlier. Well, you both sound miserable, so
Well, thank you.
hope you recover.
There's misery in there's what is it?
Misery loves
Misery loves
Misery
company.
loves company.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're sick, Sarah.
I'm sorry you are, Larry.
Oh God, it's just one thing after another. I'm starting to.
This actually dovetails into a conversation we had on the Chapter Affairs board meeting yesterday. There are a lot of people in LPN who are have various illnesses at the moment that we've discovered and heard of, and I was kind of thinking about and suggested that, you know, I'm not quite sure how we do it, so I'm just opening this up for further thought, whether there's, obviously it requires someone offering that they're ill to reach out to them, but I was thinking a little about even using the connector, maybe having a forum in there so that when people are ill and want companionship or conversation, or I don't know. I opened it up for, we didn't get anywhere in particular with it, but I thought, you know, we're a caring community and we all want to reach out to our friends in the network when we learn that they're sick, but you know, it kind of travels slowly. So I don't really know where to go with it, but it occurred to me that it might be some way in which we can additionally support each other. So, any thoughts?
It seems like maybe there's a way to have a kind of a hangout.
Yeah.
And where people can just go on and see who else is there, and if somebody else is there, have a conversation. I don't know. Other than that,
I mean, there are people who have serious, you know, so for people who say have cancer, it's always, of course, great to speak to someone who has been through it, because there isn't the same anxiety about speaking about it that there is from people who haven't. So, you know, I don't know. Go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say I'm starting to think that this is a losing battle.
You mean life?
Yes.
yeah, nobody gets out alive.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, sometimes when I've just been sick a lot lately this year. A lot of it, I think, is mental. Is some depression, you know, and then then that begets another sickness, and then another one, or whatever. But sometimes you want company on that, and sometimes you certainly don't.
Yep.
You know, I don't want to call my friends and say, "Hey, I'm sick. Will you talk to me?" But sometimes you do, you know. And also, I think that one thing about our group is that we're more caring than many of our friends are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's not often you find a group of people who actually care about each other.
Yep.
But I think, and you're right, Larry, and I think you made a good point, Bruce, is that, you know, I didn't know Larry was sick. I would have picked up the phone and called and said, how you doing? But it's hard to let people know in some appropriate way.
Yeah. Right. Because, I mean, that's like, oh, you're sick. Oh, what do? Just like, you know, you put it on Facebook and say, I'm sick. You know?
You know, like people put on Facebook, I'm safe.
Yeah.
And they're in a tragedy area.
Yeah.
But you know, it is. But there is such. We develop such friendships throughout the network, but we don't see each other in the ways that we would if we lived, say, in a neighborhood. So we might not learn that someone's sick, and they might not know that we care that and are there to support them. So I don't know. Just started thinking, you know, it's a conversation to have, and maybe we can come up with something,
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
Something.
something,
I
something.
agree.
Yeah, and good luck on Stonewall on Monday.
I'm very so we're still got a lot trying to help to
I really need purpose in life.
raise. We've got 100 people already signed up to come. We're shooting for about 200 to come for the fundraiser, but it's going to be great. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better, and the support. The state kicked in. The city had already kicked in 80,000. The state has now looks like it's about to kick in 50,000.
Wow.
Well, you
And is
know,
this,
Bruce,
Lyft kicked in 10,000.
really?
Hmm.
So you know
is this
that.
a grassroots effort in New York?
Yeah, it's so Joy, as I said, introduced me to this grassroots Stonewall Community Development Corporation that was originally to help support affordable LGBT-friendly housing. There are 3 sites under construction in New York City that kind of fit that description. But the question was, how do you market to without running afoul of the law? How do you market exclusively? So
Mhm.
when they had done this study of New York City LGBT, and the result of it was this kind of terrible result that the elder LGBT community of New York, and it probably holds true in every major city, is the best educated but also the poorest and loneliest of the populations. There was they began thinking about creating a village, a naturally occurring retirement community virtually. And for New York City entire, where there isn't, you know, you don't, it's not like a village where people live within a few blocks of each other.
That would be nice too.
That would be, but the goal, so they.
How about Hudson Towers?
Yeah, well, I mean, in effect, an affordable housing would be a good tower, or, you know, reasonable sized building would be that. But at any rate, we began working on it about 1.5 years ago, and we've got great support. And the idea isn't that people live online, but it's that we have some way to penetrate and connect people. There's a cultural area for people to learn and to connect with each other. They can connect like we do on Life Planning Network, and having programming.
How do you get that transferred? Sorry to interrupt, but how do you get that? But I'm doing it anyway. How do you get that transferred to seeing people in person, number one, and bringing in the intergenerations?
Well, so the two different questions. The getting people to go offline and see each other. Of course, if you start enough conversations, that can happen. But also, we're linking with the LGBT senior centers around New York City to do programming with them, so that there will be some reason to go somewhere and meet people. It is a kind of stated goal, and we're just about to start, so there's a lot not figured out. But, like, you know, we're going to do these virtual dance halls that Maria Janae will do, but the goal will be to have them in person as well. You know, I don't know that we have all the answers at this point. It's really one giant experiment, but
Hey
it's.
guys, I'm just want to break in just for a second to say I'm gonna need to go, but I'm gonna check in on you later, Larry.
Oh, thanks, Sarah.
Okay,
You
bye
get
bye.
better too.
Sarah, feel better, and I'll see you in New Orleans. So what day are you going down?
I'm going to be getting there on Sunday.
Oh, you'll be there early. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are you
So I'll
staying
see
at
you
the
then.
Hyatt?
I'm sharing a room with Helen Spence.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
I will see you then. All
Okay.
right. Be well.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So
that's the one piece. But the other, recruiting the youngers, well, that's actually gone very well. The program director is a 23-year-old.
yeah.
Yeah. So the executive director is a 60-year-old. The program director is a 23-year-old, incredible kid, Saif. Never went to college. He's 19, so smart. And so with him and others, they've created an emerging leadership council. We also use something called Brooklyn Pride Path, which gave about 8 interns 18 to 22 over the summer to work on recruiting youngers. And so that's been a major part of it since the beginning.